Audio Jungle.
It was September and a group of scientists had to go to Antarctica because the climate had changed because of the pollution. So a lot of ice sheets were melting. The scientists thought that they would be like any other, but what they didn't know was that it would be the beginning of a new period for humanity. All kinds of life that we knew would change, including human life. They were browsing when they saw that the sea level had risen and there were many and now black and yellow pieces that seemed to be many years old. It didn't seem to be normal and they hadn't seen that before. When they arrived to Antarctica, they saw the same kind of pieces, so they took one piece as a sample. It had passed 1 minute when the piece that the scientific had took in used the hand which he had collected the sample. Also, they continued walking. They were climbing the mount when they arrived in the middle of mount and there were 2 nuclear bombs. In that moment, they felt so scared about that. Then they called to the laboratory and they tried to take the bombs to the lab, but when they were trying to do that, a machine fell on the bombs and they detonated. All people that were there died. The explosion was so big that it hit a large part of Antarctica, America, and Europe, so the consequences were so bad for many people in that moment. But the damage hadn't finished yet, because when the bombs exploded through the air, the radioactivity spread and the humans' ADN of all humanity changed forever. The air had changed its composition, so it affected all kinds of life like humans, animals, and plants. Anything couldn't receive oxygen. But as movies, there were people that were prepared for that kind of situations. So they had a special suit for radioactivity and just that people could save and live more. Some days later, they found a little lake with many roses and they were beautiful. The radioactivity hadn't killed them, so they wondered why. Fortunately, there was a scientific among them, so he tried to analyze them and he found something very important. The roses had a special component that kept them alive in the water, so they thought that there was an opportunity to live back in the water. They were scared and worried because they didn't have time inasmuch the suit for the radioactivity and the oxygen tank had 20% of capacity. But fortunately, the scientific found the solution, so he injected the component in their body and they went into the sea with the hope that they could live and adapt into it, and it was. Humanity continued its life in the depths of the sea.